Hey guys, it's Tara from Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today, or this week, we're going to be diving into calendar rounds, the day numbers, and Trecenas, which, as you've heard before in the previous video, means 13. So the Mayan week is 13 days. We talked about the duality that exists within the Mayan culture. So the day signs are a very masculine presence, although there are some day signs that have more of a feminine quality to it. But overall, the day signs are masculine, and the day numbers, which we'll be going into in this portion, are feminine. The Trecenas also have a lord that presides over that particular week. So there's a year lord, so somebody takes their seat for that year and they preside over all of the people for that year. And of course, anybody born under that time is born with parts of that energy of that year lord, as well as the Trecena that they're born in. So they have a year lord or a Trecena lord that is presiding over that particular week. And then you have your day sign, which is the most important in the Mayan destiny chart. And then you have your day number. So all of these energies coming together, working together to help you get through your life and live it to the best and to your ability according to your chart. They do mention Ixchel, which is actually my matron goddess, quite a lot through when talking about the Tolkien, because she is, by some, not all, but by some, they do consider her the Tolkien, like the Tolkien is her. The translation of her name is Lady Rainbow or Lady of the Rainbow. She is the goddess most associated with divination, of childbirth, of fertility. She's seen in a kind of maiden mother crone aspect, so she looks a little bit different depending on what aspect she's taking in that position. She often wears a skirt with a skull and crossbones because she's also seen as, you know, a transition as well. So not only is she the goddess of, you know, bringing something in, bringing life, but she is also the goddess that can take life away. And she is the goddess of the waters. So people would pray to her if they needed rain. Of course, if you did not appease her, she could turn it into a really bad flood if she wanted to. But it's good just to mention Ixchel because many do claim that she is Tolkien, and so there will be a audio meditation for you to take part in. It's no words, so it's not a guided meditation, but more just to kind of listen and immerse yourself in the energy of Ixchel, which again many do say is the Tolkien itself. So in our calendar here in the West, our 365-day calendar, we have 12 months in the year. There's also another form of keeping the days, and that's sidereal. You may have seen that on some YouTube channels. Some people are doing Western astrology, some doing Vedic, some doing, you know, sidereal, Mayan. there's a depending on the culture, you know, people kept track of the stars and the birth of their people, you know, in slightly different ways. And so in sidereal, there's technically 13 months. So there's 29 days to each month. So there's like 12 months and then a partial month there. So they technically call it the 13th month. To the Maya, this would be considered something special because the number 13 is a very special number, and you'll learn as you read through the PDF that I have for you about the numbers that there are low numbers, middle numbers, and high numbers. And to be born under a high number could be both positive and negative. Sometimes the high numbers, they're so volatile and they have so much energy that sometimes it's hard for people to negotiate their life because of all that volatility. But it could be tempered with your day sign, because remember, it's a marriage of the male and feminine and masculine. However, if somebody were born under a 13 day, that person could have the propensity towards having great psychic ability, and they might find life to be rather difficult unless they take advantage of that psychic ability and the ability to see beyond and to foretell the future and things like that. And so there were rituals that were performed on 13 days because although it was the highest number and a very volatile number, shamans could harness the energy of that day in order to create some really awesome things, especially if they were trying to bring something in for a particular person or family. The low numbers, however, some might consider like 1 through 4 or 5 to be kind of weak. You know, they might need a strong day sign in order to bring up the weakness of that number. However, if you were born on a 1 day, that's the day of creation. That is the day of getting started on something new, the beginning of something. You could see that as maybe like the ace, you know, the ace of anything, or maybe even the ace of wands in the tarot. For the Maya, the when you talk about the masculine and the feminine, in our current culture, sometimes we see the feminine as rather passive and masculine as being active. However, for the Maya, it was vice versa. So the I guess you could say that, like the mountains being kind of just there, static, not moving, that would be considered very masculine, very strong and stoic, whereas the feminine was full of movement, full of energy, and it was the reason the earth was abundant in all its ways. It was the reason, you know, that life was able to be brought into this plane of existence. You know, it was all feminine energy. You know, life itself was feminine energy. So you needed the masculine energy, of course, because you need that duality. But whenever they talk about like movement and action, kind of like a wands in the tarot, that was considered very feminine. Now, the number 13, to go back to that, it occurs regularly in nature, which is also why this fascinated the Maya. So not only did they find so many synchronicities as they were doing their mathematical calculations, but they noticed like the 13 came up in the rectangles on a shell of turtle. There's also 13 little rattles in a rattlesnake's tail. There's also 13 joints in the human body, 13 major joints that I talked about before. So you got your 2 ankles, your 2 knees, your 2 hips, your 2 shoulders, your 2 elbows, 2 wrists, and 1 neck. So 13 was considered a very lucky number, a really good number, unlike the way we view it here in the West. I want to talk a little bit about the soul. The Maya considered people to have multiple souls, and I kind of mentioned this in the last video. And so the there's a soul that's inside the body, and it's called the anima, and as you know, the Spaniards kind of looked at it in translation. So it's the anima, and basically that stays with the body, and when the body dies, that soul dies off with the body. The Maya also believed that it was only human beings that were able to have a day sign because of, you know, us, the way we were placed on this earth. So they didn't believe like animals or things like that could have day signs. They believed they had souls, but they couldn't have a day sign like a human being could have. So that was strictly a human being thing. Now there's another thing called the Nawal. And so the Nawal is the kind of spirit that lives beyond. So when you go to sleep and you're in your dream state, your Nawal can go off and go do whatever it is that it wants to do. It's between time. It does not die when the body dies. It lives on. It is immortal. It lives forever. The Nawal is seen as very masculine, that very masculine energy. However, the lightning bolt, or the sky serpent, that is inside with every body, that everybody's everybody, is this powerful electrical energy, which could be likened to the Kundalini moving through the chakras. So it's kind of the same concept for the Maya. So this lightning bolt of energy was known as your Coyopa, and that was seen as very feminine. Remember, feminine is action, you know, movement. And so as you grow spiritually, and as you have that almost like Kundalini rising, it is that Coyopa that comes to life. And there is a way of using your destiny chart to track your Coyopa, your actual energy, and have sacred rituals for the days of your actual Coyopa, which we'll talk about later within your chart. So it's a long period of time where you would have ritual every other day, almost every other day, to kind of honor your energy and your place in the birth chart. Now, when it comes to divination, a shaman used tsetse seeds, and this actually comes from a sacred tree. So if you got caught with those seeds trying to enter the US, you probably get detained, maybe arrested. So those are seeds that are not allowed to leave their place of origin. But you know, the Mayan destiny chart, their astrology, is also heavily relied upon their shamans and divination. So you yourself do not have to be a shaman in order to learn Mayan astrology or learn the destiny chart. You know, that's something that many agree on. I'm not saying 100% agree on, but many people agree that, you know, anybody can study this and do this. You don't necessarily have to be a shaman. I mean, would it be freaking awesome to go down to South America and spend some time with a shaman or with family and actually truly live the Mayan destiny chart as it's, or you know, astrology as it's seen in its country of origin? I mean, yes. Or its a continent of origin. Like, that would be awesome. And I do encourage you, if you have the means to do that, like, definitely try and go do that someday. I want to do that someday. And I do have some friends in South America, so that probably will happen someday. So let's talk about the Trecenas, the 13 days. So we know that the Tolkien is 260 days, and it goes along with the Hob calendar, which is the 365 days, technically 360 plus 5 days of rest. But the Tolkien calendar has 20 periods of 13 days. Remember, the 20 is a very special number and the 13 is a very special number. So the 13 days equal Trecenas. They like to, the Maya like to look at the numbers of each day of the Trecena as a pyramid, and I also have a PDF for you to take a look at with that. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the top is 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And so basically the top numbers here, you know, let's say 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. Those were considered ideal numbers to be born under, or if you wanted to do anything with your life on a particular day that was those numbers, those were great numbers. More difficult days would be lower numbers, and the higher numbers, as I've mentioned before, about their particular energies. Unless it's a 1 day or a 13 day, you can make a positive out of it. So the most important component of the calendar is to truly live the calendar. They took advantage of the number and the day sign of every single day. It's like, okay, so we have this energy of this day sign with the energy of this number. Basically, we have these, they almost looked at them like beings, spirit guides. We have these guides here basically to help us today. What can we do to access that energy today instead of it just being another day? It was never just another day. And so that's why I truly love Mayan astrology, and hopefully that's why you're here too. So think of the Trecenas like waves, you know, so every day is unique, you know, because it's under a particular year lord. The Trecena is ruled by another particular lord. You have these day numbers, you have these day signs. You also have the cycles of the moon going on. You have the cycles of the sun. And so you can almost see it like that moving spiral as we move, the energy moving up and down and up and down and up and down as we cycle through the Trecena. So it's constantly this movement, and one day overlapping into the next day, overlapping into the next day and the next day. So everything isn't finite. It's all rolling, it's smooth, it's almost like the ocean. So I'm going to do a little cutaway to actually show you what that looks like on the calendar board using today's Mayan date. Okay, so this is a Mayan calendar board. And I know it kind of looks confusing at first, but you'll see it actually makes a lot of sense. So today's number is actually 4. It's 4-ish. So we look on here till we find ish. Ish is right here. And we're going to move over until we see the number 4. And by the way, I'm using the MCP Tolkien app to find out the day number. It's just one that I use to follow every day. So in order to find out who the ruler of this week's Trecena is, I have to go back to the first. So here's 4, 3, 2, 1. The ruler is Chuen.
So Tuen is actually the ruler of this this week, these 13 days. And it's going to end with Akbal, which actually is my day sign. So very cool. Ooh, 13 Akbal. That's actually my destiny sign. Ooh, very interesting. That's going to be an interesting day. But yeah, that's basically, that's how you find the ruler of your Trecena, or the Trecena that we're in. Yeah, and then I will show you how to use this to take a look at your birth chart in the 4th week, so you guys can put together your own destiny chart, be able to read it, and work on some compatibility charts.
And then we have our calendar rounds, which again I had briefly touched upon in the last video. And so a calendar round is 52 years. It's when the Hop calendar and the Tolkien calendar finally sync up. It's after those 52 years, so 4 periods of 13 years, which is roughly 18,980 days. So 52 is considered the age of wisdom. It was a very, very important age. I know maybe in the West, like our 16th birthday and our 18th birthday, 1st birthday, those are considered really important. Maybe your 100th birthday, but to the Maya, 52 was that age of wisdom because of the way it synced with the calendars, and they found, remember, synchronicities in everything. And so to find so many synchronicities with the number 52, with us being very connected to the heavens, you know, with the number of joints in our body and the levels of heaven, there are 13 levels of heaven, you know, that it just became very special. So it's a very important part of the destiny chart. Of course, they knew that people lived beyond 52 years of age, and you know, I don't think anybody can make a calendar round twice. Maybe they could. At the end of the year, or actually on a 52 year, so when everything has kind of synced up, it was a very important event. So not only for people individually to have their 52nd birthdays, but when the calendars did line up, it was a huge event for everybody in general, maybe especially people who actually celebrated their birthday on that day. But they had something called a new fire ceremony, and it was celebrated at Chichen Itza. And it's also when, you know, after these 52 years, when the Pleiades and solar zenith aligned with the pyramids at Kukulkan. So it was, they could find, again, it's these synchronicities every 52 years, you know, these things are aligning with the top of one of their pyramids, and it's like this astronomical / energetically freaking awesome event. So definitely something to look into. So definitely go check out your HyperDoc. I have a few different PDFs. I have that eShell meditation. I have some activities and projects for you to do. And yeah, I will see you in the next video with the year lords and the energy of the sun and the moon. So I will catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken curries. Peace out.